The tale of Methany and all her madness. This happened a few years ago. I once had a neighbor that we will call Methany. Methany moved into our neighborhood as a single mom with 3 kids. At the time she moved in, all the kids were between 5 to 8. One of the kids we will call Chris was the oldest and had some mental and physical disabilities that from we heard was from him having a brain tumor or cancer. The story changed through the years. Now when Methany moved in, it seemed like she was just a overwhelmed single mom of 3 that had a lot of friends coming by all the time. I can understand this being normal with 3 kids and one with medical needs. A few months after move-in, the amount of people who were stopping by, when they were stopping by, the length of the visit, the condition of the person arriving and leaving all started to seem odd to say the least. We live in a cul-de-sac in a suburban city outside of Seattle, so most people when doing yard work wave at the neighbors they see and make small talk or smile or something. Not Methany. If you were in your yard doing yard work, she would start to get sketched out. She would make comments of "what are you looking at?" and "mind your own business" and quat. Okay. If that is not a red flag, I don't know what is. So in the future she started to get more aggressive, throwing water balloons at people, which at first we thought she filled with vinegar, since it killed anything it touched. Later found out it was piss. Soon she then turned to building a tarp shanty, for privacy for herself and her guests. After this happened, the visitors and the things that would happen got even more weird. We would call the cops and complaints with the city for code violations. Things would change for a few weeks to a month and then back to business as per usual. At this time we started to see Chris more and more at our door and things. This is when he would ask us for food and if we had an old sweatshirt or jacket that he could have because he outgrew his. It is snowing and Kid has on shorts and t-shirt flip-flops. He just walked home from school. He had eaten mustard for lunch and had it on his face and shirt still. His mother didn't send him with money or have groceries for lunch. We hooked him up with some food and clothes and he was on his way home. That is when we saw when he tried to enter, a man wouldn't let him in and he turned him away. Our neighborhood called CPS. They came, took them away. A few days later they are back. This is when we found out that she had been living in Section 8 housing. You would think at this point she would either change her ways or she would lose this place and opportunity that she was given. Nope. It only got worse. At this point she is full on drug dealing 24/7 in the open with a loud truck coming and going and blaring music all hours of the night. Shortly after this her house and vehicle are the subject of a drive-by shooting. A couple months after that, a dump truck filled with fertilizer dirt is dropped onto her convertible car right after she had drove home. It took her and a few of her minions to get the car unburied. She sold it shortly after and somehow got a new Dodge Ram. It was not long before she was doing a full muralist picture on the side of the truck with various rattlecan techniques. Of course she needed to do some exhaust alterations as well because she wants to set off car alarms as she drives by. The tension in the neighborhood started to build and for some reason I was the one who was told all the dirt and did something with it. Everyone else is over 75 and retired or a single woman living by themselves. My husband and myself were in our late 20s and early 30s and went to physical jobs for 10 to 12 hours a day 5 to 7 days a week. We really didn't have the patience or time to have our sleep disrupted. I went to confront Methany to turn down the music and please be respectful of the noise ordinance or in the future I will call the police. She then informed me that she has friends that work at the 911 call center and an officer will never show up. Well, she was wrong. They showed up and she was pushed to her limit. At this point she had so much hate for me she couldn't contain herself. A couple of weeks later I was leaving for work at 2:30 a.m. I get in my car and realize I left my lunch inside. I grab my purse but I'll leave my car running and grab it off the counter. As soon as I open my front door to go out to my car I see Methany motion sensor is now on. I look over, my car is gone. I was in my house for under a minute. She had been watching me closely as threatened in the past. I call the cops. They find it later that afternoon less than a mile away. Don't want to hoof it too far after you abandon your neighbor's car you stole. It was also pretty amazing because they left all the drug paraphernalia behind and that is when the name Methany was born. She really thought she won that time, but what she didn't plan for was for me to be the vengeful which I am. Now I knew that all I needed to do was wait. Her activities would resume and up the level just as they had every other time. But this time I was going to document everything with every detail and pictures, videos and everything else she would do. Then one fateful Friday night I got onto community service website for anonymous tips and just loaded up my 200+ document file I had made and categorized so they could go through it all as easily as possible. Well, wouldn't you know, on Tuesday afternoon someone got raided and arrested. It was not long before she was bailed out, within hours of being released back at it. So I guess I just got to add to my file again before I do another big upload on my home girl Methany. By Sunday of that same week I had over another 100 pieces of documents to add. At this point I uploaded it and by Wednesday she was raided and arrested again. She did lose the house by the end of that month. I know I got under her skin when she was moving out and I was watching her. She had her German Shepherd get loose. I yelled at her to get her dog under control as it started to bark and run after another neighbor walking her dog on a leash. Once she got her dog back in her house she yelled at me that I had a punchable face and quat. When I replied with a thank you, "You are so kind," she decided to smash a glass bottle on the curb as she ran out at me to attack me. She got within 6 inches of me and a landscaper had seen her coming as I was walking away, threw me over his shoulder with a quick tackle and called the police. Her going away present was a restraining order, police report with threats and multiple witnesses. I heard she recently got out of prison. She has been there for over 5 years because of me. Her return present to me was busting out my windows on the same car she stole, with a flathead screwdriver. Unfortunately, it just pierced through the glass and her hand did the rest of the glass break through with the impact she made and the force behind it. She managed to do this with 2 windows. Never once did it occur to her to use the handle, the blunt end. Great video footage to see. Good to see she didn't pick up any good skills since I had seen her last.